This is Entering Tyngsborough, a podcast from the town of Tyngsborough on all things happening in town government and the community. I'm Roni Camille. Thanks for joining us. We're having candid conversations on what's happening here in town. In this episode, the directors from the Board of Health and Conservation Commission will preview two events that are happening May 4th. But first, here's what you should know. It's that time of year again. It's town meeting time. The 215th annual town meeting will take place on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Tyngsborough Elementary School on Westford Road. Now, if you're not familiar with town meeting, one of the nation's oldest form of government where residents can get to vote on the municipal budget and town business, you can get involved and informed in a variety of ways. One of which is the pre-town meeting session, and that's happening on Tuesday, April 30th from 6 to 7 p.m. in the community room at the town hall. This is an opportunity for residents to get a full rundown of the May annual town meeting warrant and ask questions ahead of the meeting, which is happening the following week. This Q&A session will be recorded and aired live on Tyngsborough Media. And everything that you need to know about the annual town meeting, the operating budget, and our annual town reports, that is all available on the town website. That's tyngsborough.ma.gov. Now, on to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Kerri. I'm the Health Director for the Tyngsborough Board of Health.
Kerri, thanks so much for joining us. Kerri, in a nutshell, what exactly is your title with the town? What exactly that you do for the residents at home that may not know what you do?
Well, I'm the Health Director for the Tyngsborough Board of Health. I basically oversee the health department. What we do as a health department, we do a lot of things. We do restaurants inspections. When people have complaints, we do housing inspections. We do inspections of pool. We do Title V, which is the septic system, communicable diseases, nuisance complaints, communicable, and then just public health in general. And we also have a nurse who also does like blood pressure screening, glucose screening, and whatever else that falls under her job description.
Wonderful. And so you guys have been obviously busy before the pandemic and through the pandemic and post the pandemic. And you guys have held these sort of health fairs over the years. But this is the first time you are holding a health fair in the springtime. So the swing into spring, which is happening May 4th. What prompted the Board of Health to do this health fair in the spring and not in the fall?
So we are going to do it in the fall as well, but there's a lot of things that goes on in the spring as well. And some of the things that we want to cover is spring safety, before we get outside and we go enjoy the weather, go for a walk and things like that. So there's a lot of things that happen, like ticks. We just want to make sure that residents are aware of ticks and mosquitoes and how to protect themselves. The other thing is like water safety. And, before you go out there and enjoy it, we just want to make the residents aware of some of those hidden hazards.
That's great. So you'll have the fire department will be on site that day, the police department and the recreation department. Are there any other vendors that will be at this health fair for people to kind of check out any sort of health screenings that will be happening?
Oh, yeah. We, beside the three departments that you mentioned, there's going to be also the library and the conservation, who's the library. You can visit their table and sign up for library cards. And the library has a lot of things going on in the library as well. And I think they want to bring that and make the residents aware of the programs they have. Conservation is going to be doing have trail maps because there's a lot of trails in town, and there's a lot of beautiful, I think, recreational areas that the residents can enjoy. So the conservation director will be there, and she'll present her trail maps to the residents and um, get out there and discover what's going on in Tyngsborough.
And what about any health screenings? I know since the
Yeah,
pandemic or during the pandemic, a lot of people weren't really going out or getting, pushing off their kind of doctor's appointments and screenings. Uh, Anything that's going to be kind of that will be at this event that will kind of entice people to kind of maybe come out and maybe get a health screening for free?
yeah. So there's going to be blood pressure screening, and there's going to be also we have a chiropractor who's going to be coming to our events as well, and he'll be doing posture screening. And then, our public health is already holding the blood, a routine blood pressure clinic and the cholesterol clinics that the residents can come to the town hall and get the screening at our department.
That's great. And lastly, before we head out, your department in the past year has kind of been really aggressive, true grant funding. You mentioned you have a nurse, and you recently hired a kind of a uh, public health specialist. How
Yeah.
does Can you kind of elaborate on that? How that's benefiting the Tyngsborough community?
Oh, with these grants, I think it really benefits Tyngsborough community greatly. We not only like was able to hire a part-time public health nurse that we have to share with Tuxbury, but we also hired a regional health inspectors. As you know, before it's just only two people in this department, and trying to get everything done is was a lot for us. So having a regional health inspector to go do inspections of all the restaurants so that they can meet the state mandate. And you mentioned the regional health and health specialist, and so she just came on board. She'll be helping the four communities that fall under the grant, and she'll her one of her job duty is to find resources or provide resources to the residents. So hopefully in the near future, we can get her to put a resource book or information that if residents, there's so many things out there, and that residents may not be aware of. So it'll be all in one place that they can go look for those information. And then like for our regional health nurse, as you know, the many things that she had done for our community, and also like she also upkeep with the communicable diseases, because we have to do reporting to the states, and we have to do follow up with the residents. So all of that had been very beneficial, and it has led our department to do other things like this health fair that we are able to get it up and going. And then we're going to have another one in the fall as well. And that's going to be with the police and the fire department. So I think it had brought a lot to the town.
That and the many other programs that you've offered this year, the dementia learning program,
Mhm.
CPR, and all
Yeah.
these things. It's great to see that the Board of Health has grown in the last few months. The swing into spring health fair is happening May 4th at the Old Town Hall at 10 Kendall Road from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for more information, you could visit the town website. Kerri Oon, Director of the Board of Health for the town of Tyngsborough, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ronnie.
Hi, Hi, my name is Emilie Brush. I am the Conservation Director for the town of Tyngsborough.
Emilie, thanks so much for joining us. First off, what exactly is the Conservation Director?
The Conservation Director is in charge of implementing, enforcing, and regulating the Wetlands Protection Act, which is a state regulation, and the Tyngsborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, which is our town bylaw, along with the Stormwater Bylaw and the Aerator Bylaw.
And so, for somebody that's in town that, uh, has no idea, had no idea conservation, director, your role, even the conservation commission, what are some things they should be kind of be mindful of so that they don't, get a visit from you or sit in front of the conservation commission?
That's a good question. So to somebody that doesn't know exactly what I do, so basically any protective resource area, so we think of swamps, wetlands, streams, our Merrimack River, all are protected resource areas under our bylaw and the State Wetlands Protection Act. And basically each of those resource areas has a buffer zone, and we have to regulate the amount of work that is done in those buffer zones so that we don't harm the resource area and save it for future generations.
Yeah. So basically, in hindsight, before you cut a tree down, if you got to make sure that your house or your tree is not near a wetland area. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So you can still do work near the resource areas. We just want to make sure that the work is not necessarily going to harm the resource area. It's just near it. And that if it is going to harm the resource area, that replication or restoration is done to prevent future damage.
So you've talked about you guys maintaining or conserving some of those natural sites in the community. Can you tell us how much kind of conservation land is in Tyngsborough?
So Tyngsborough roughly has a little bit under 400 acres. I think exactly it's like 390. So 390 acres. And that ranges from big parcels like we all know Sherburne Nature Center. That's one of them. Shady Glade, which is off Primrose. So that's another big one. And then it also counts all the other small little acres that you see, those non-managed or non-buildable lots in subdivisions are considered conservation land given to the town by developers. So in total, it's about 400 acres. Not all of it is used by the residents in town. A lot of it is just vacant woods property, but majority of it is used by the residents in town.
And obviously, with your charge, with you and the commission, you guys are holding a annual trail day. It's your 5th annual. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, so we are hosting our 5th annual Trail Day. It started a couple years ago with the Trails Committee, and then, of course, COVID happened, so it kind of trailed off. But yes, the commission wants to reboot that. And basically, Trail Day is just we would pick a parcel in town that is commonly used by the residents and basically just spruce it up, clean up all the dead debris, any trash that's left over from the winter time, and possibly add more things to it.
So when is it, and from what time to what time, and what can people expect if they want to volunteer to, clean up the trails?
Yes, so this year Trail Day is on May 4th from 8 to 2. You can come as long as you want. You don't have to stay the whole time. It's going to be at the Hunter Norton property, which is a couple parcels off the middle of River Road. So it's kind of behind Parley Farms. There's no exact address, but it's just off River Road, unfortunately. And then what residents can expect is doing debris cleanup. We want to do some invasive species cleaning up. So invasive species are the plants that aren't native to the area that have started to overgrown and compensate for the native plants. So we want to cut those down, get rid of them. So we're doing some of that type of work, cleaning trash up, which is typical. And then we're installing 400 feet of fence along River Road to separate the road and the field parcels to prevent people from just parking wherever they want, kind of consolidating the differences between the road and the pedestrian path and the conservation land. And this year we also got 2 kiosks, so we will also be installing those to add trail maps and future signage to the property.
That's great. What is one thing that you want residents to know regarding, obviously, cleanup, the trail day, or just conservation in general in the community?
I think one thing I would want to like hone in on the residents is I know that everybody appreciates all the conservation land we have in town, and a lot of residents do care for it, but there's a lot of parcels in our town that aren't as cared for as other ones. And without the residents' help in doing Trail Day and all the volunteers that come out, we can't maintain and keep up all the properties to the ability that like Sherburne Nature Center is at. So I guess without the help of the residents and the volunteers in town, the properties wouldn't be kept as well as they have been.
And again, the 5th annual Trail Day will happen on Saturday, May 4th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Hunter Norton property off River Road. Emilie Brush, Conservation Director for the town of Tyngsborough, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that is all the time that we have today on the Entering Tyngsborough podcast. If you want to learn more about your town's government, visit the town of Tyngsborough's website at tyngsboroughma.gov. I'm Ronnie Camille. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, be well.